Hello everyone, my name is Gianmarco, and beside being a vigneron here in Valtellina, I've been a winemaker in Australia for a few years, and I thought the wine diary videos would be a great chance for me to talk about my passion for what's in the glass. So let's talk about wine. Cheers! Today is wine diary number 1, so I wanted to start off with a local wine from a staple producer of Valtellina, which is Arpepe. So today's wine is their Valtellina Superiore Grumello, the 2022 Rocca di Piro. This is also a great chance to introduce the region of Valtellina and its subzones. So Valtellina is a valley in the north of Italy, in the region of Lombardia or Lombardy, which is nestled between the Alps. It's a valley that runs east-west. There's 3 denominations, and wines outside the denomination can still be made in a variety of styles that fall under the IGT classification. In Valtellina, we can make Nebbiolo-based wines of the DOC Rosso di Valtellina, made predominantly from Nebbiolo, or locally called Chiavenasca grapes, with little aging requirements, and so it's usually a fresher, a little bit more approachable expression of Valtellina. Above that, we have 2 DOCGs, the highest denomination in Italian wine, and those 2 are Valtellina Superiore, of which this is an example, which requires a longer aging compared to Rosso di Valtellina, and more strict rules, of course, about the maximum crops, the minimum alcohol level, and so on. We also have the DOCG of Sforzato di Valtellina, which is a wine made from dried or partially dried grapes. So an appassimento style wine. Now, the wider Valtellina wine region can pretty much all produce Rosso di Valtellina, whereas the Superiore wines are produced from the better sites, which are obviously a much smaller area than the whole of Valtellina. And within that Superiore area, there's actually 5 subzones. So west to east, there will be Maroggia, and then Sassella, Grumello, Inferno, and Valgella. Grumello, which is the subzone I'm interested in, being my vineyard in Grumello, can be further divided, just like every other subzone, into areas. The 2 main areas of the Grumello subzone are pretty much the vineyards below the castle and the vineyards above the castle of Grumello, just to draw a very rough line. My vineyard is obviously above the castle in the area called Ossi Salati, whereas this guy actually comes from the castle hill, so the vineyards are, I believe, just below, very close as the crow flies from my vineyard. So let's say I'm going to try this wine. I've tried Arpepe wines before, but I don't believe I've tried this particular one, so it'll be a good chance to have a look at a great example of Valtellina wine. Arpepe, they've been around for a long time, they're multi-generational. They represent Valtellina in our region, but also in Italy, and definitely they do that very well outside of Italy as well. Their wines are sold all over the world, so let's see what this one has to offer. From what I know, Arpepe does a 12 months aging on this in larger format oak casks, as well as some concrete. If I remember correctly. Arpepe, they're also quite famous for their longer aging in bottles. They do release a lot of reserves. This one in particular being 2022, I believe was released pretty much as soon as it was permitted to do so. So not a particularly long aging for this one. Let's see. The color is the classic ruby red with a tiny bit of a brick rim, fairly translucent, speaks of Valtellina. The wine is also jumping out of the glass. I can smell it without bringing the glass to my nose, but let's see. Okay, the nose is definitely sort of what I was expecting. So there is a brightness to the fruit and a freshness and a liveliness to the wine. Of course, the fruit is juicy. It's not dried or overripe. We're talking about sort of very crunchy red fruit here. There's also an incredible background of spice and minerality and earthier qualities. I definitely feel like the aging in the bigger casks helps retaining a lot of that primary fruit freshness, and this wine is a great example of that. There's also an almost balsamic, fresh herbal in a way as well, almost botanical quality to it that really lifts the wine. But now is the moment of truth. I'm loving the wine so far, but let's see how it tastes. Wow, the wine on the palate is in tune with the impression on the nose. It's incredibly fresh and incredibly precise and elegant and aromatic. The wine is packed with fruit. There's so much crunchiness and vibrancy to the palate, but all of this is coated in this outer layer of structure and fresh acidity and firm tannins. And it's palate coating, and at the same time it sort of runs straight through the palate. But it's not lean, it's not like a skeletal wine, but maintaining this verticality that is classic of Mountain Nebbiolo of the Alps, which is Cavernasca. Stylistically, I gotta say, this is impeccable. It's fresh and beautiful. It wants to be drunk. It's not too intense, it's not heavy, it's got a lot of character and presence. And yeah, it's a great wine. I think Arpepe wines are in general not the cheapest, and rightly so. I would argue they probably up there with some of the best wines in the region, probably some of the best wines in Italy. This particular one, I believe, could also be aged for quite a long time. The structure is really present and really firm at the moment, which is something I really appreciate, as it doesn't take away at all from the drinkability of the wine. But yeah, I'm very happy to be in a region that can produce wines like this and have neighbors like Arpepe that produce incredible wines. A little bit of a biased opinion, but I do believe it to be true. I think Valtellina is one of the most underrated wine regions in the world. Wines like this can compete with the very best in terms of elegance and balance. This could sit in any lineup with the best Burgundy or Barbaresco or Barolo, you name it. Obviously, it doesn't have the big body of Super Tuscan or a big Barolo, a big Bordeaux or anything like that, or obviously the wines from the New World. But it is an incredibly well-made wine that speaks of a place beautifully. I think this captures the essence of Valtellina and the Nebbiolo of the Alps. I'm happy to have started this new series of videos so that I've got an excuse every now and again to open a good bottle of wine, but also a chance to learn more about wine and wines of the world, and also to just keep my palate and nose sharp. So this is it for today. I'm now gonna go and drink the rest of the wine, but I thank all of those who have watched the video, and I'll see you next time. Cheers!